Okay, listen. All right, GG. That was fun.
White
Good
wins.
game. Very interesting.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll make a review. What
Review
did you think of the
started.
game?
Let me thumb through it again real quick. Okay, so up to here, things felt nothing felt unusual to me. I understand, R6 was unusual to you. I think you thought it was unusual that I blocked at Q17. But up to here, things felt normalish to me. And then here, I started feeling concerned because I was like, I'm letting white build a moyo in the bottom, but I don't know. I didn't know what else to do.
Okay. I will say that there's a very consistent mistake in this game,
Oh, okay, cool.
at least in the opening.
Yeah, sure. That's great.
So I'll take control.
Oh, yeah, please.
So, have you heard the word overconcentrated before?
Sure, yep.
Okay, what does overconcentrated mean to you?
Too many stones taking too few points.
Okay, and how does overconcentration happen?
Well, I guess there are a few ways. When you get attacked, you can be overconcentrated because you need to live. Like if you get divided into multiple groups and each of them need to live, you can get. Although chat gets onto me all the time, sometimes I confuse the words overconcentrated and heavy. I guess when we're talking about life and death, maybe heavy is a better word.
Yeah, they're sort of similar in some ways. See that? Okay. So let me ask you. So there's a word I often associate with overconcentrated that has nothing to do with overconcentrated by itself, but they're associated. And that word I would say is press. When things get pressed together, then they end up overconcentrated.
Okay.
Have you seen this position before?
No. I mean, maybe, but I don't specifically recognize it. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a famous textbook example. There are probably better variations than the one I'm going to show you. But there's an idea here from Josaku. So white plays here, black answers. And where do you think white's next move is?
Where is white's next move?
While you think about that, I'm going to put another position about the top.
Okay.
So just treat it as a separate thing.
Oh boy. So I don't know. Does white consider a crosscut? Does white consider? I mean, F4 keeps the stones together, but
yeah, I mean F4 is fine. Let's say F4 and then black can answer.
Okay.
What would you do next?
So locally the moves that I look at are like C3 and H3, I guess. Maybe H5, but
H5 is a little odd, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the hint is over concentration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So okay.
Okay, I'll make the position a little simpler. This isn't really the right move order, but I'll just put it this way, and this is not really the right shape. But let's say the shape is like this now. What would you do as white? Or what would you like to do if you could?
What I like to do if I could. The thing screaming at me is to save H2, which I think feels like I've become a victim of overconcentration, and not that I have overconcentrated. But what I don't like is that there's a wall on the J line, and it is sort of facing Q3, and that black might make a nice thing there. So I would like to disrupt that.
Oh, so you would be really upset if white started giving that to black like this?
I don't know. Third line territory, fourth line influence.
Okay, let me
You
add
know,
a few more moves. Like let's
I'm
pretend all
sorry,
these
man.
things happened.
Yeah.
How do you feel now? And let's say
Okay.
what.
Now, okay. Now white has an advantage. I
Now
would
it has
say,
okay, and why is that?
because black is all scrunched down and not making many points, and white is free as a bird, facing the center, and can do lots of things.
Yeah, so this idea, I want to play it in the move order that it's usually shown.
Okay.
Attaches, and white presses now, so that white,
Oh.
and the reason is so that black can't do this fighting back variation. If you already have all this strength and white does this, black's gonna fight because there's support
Oh. Okay. Okay.
here. Okay, and then so white, sorry about this. White does this, jumps, and then white comes back. If black defends, then the corner can be in a bit of trouble with the pincer, so usually black defends. White cuts this. Black should play here, but in the old days, I guess people played here.
Okay.
Push, push. These are all Sente, and then Atari, and come back.
Hmm.
So the idea is one of the most common ways. So if we didn't have this was just two separate things, then each of them is like a Joseki almost by itself.
Hmm.
But it's when they're together that you have this issue, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. So this happens because white's pushing, in a sense, from both sides, pushing black together.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And how
That's
about
that's very interesting. Hmm.
yeah? And let me show you this example. So there's many moves here, but I don't remember when. But there's a Chinese pro that came up with this move many years ago.
Okay.
And the idea is that if white answers, then black will play here. And we're kind of in this very similar spot where usually black pincers or covers, but white's again over concentrated like this.
That's so interesting. Third line territory doesn't sound over concentrated to me. It's interesting to hear you point that out.
Ah,
Okay.
okay. This actually ties into something that happened in our game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just because you just said that, um, what do you think about this group on the right that happened? And we'll come back to the over concentrated conversation in a second.
What do I think about it?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't seem. I mean, I think between the two, white has the better deal. But
And what about the black group though, just specifically?
uh, I don't know. It just seems like third line territory to me.
Is it alive?
Uh, it's difficult to kill. I don't know if I.
Okay. If white plays a pincer, is it alive?
Okay, is it alive locally or does it have to run? It has to run.
It has to run. How do you know?
Well, I don't have a rule of thumb. I see that S4 needs to be, protected and
Oh,
oops.
if the stone was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
mhm.
okay, interesting. Yeah, this is one of the big differences, I guess, I think, between Western Go teaching and Eastern a little bit. Okay. On the
Well, let me
second
be
one.
clear. I've never, I don't have any formal Go training. I learned from like, a smattering of YouTube videos. So I don't.
Yeah. No, I
Okay.
understand. It's just sort of the things people focus on, I guess.
Okay, sure.
Do you know how many stones on the second line need to live?
Let's see. Like if they're
If they're just like totally like this sort of
okay, and given that they are surrounded and like hugged
thing.
on the second line.
Yep. To some
Um,
point.
so let's see. We would need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess. Well,
This?
but no, not if we're taking into account that it's white's move and white can hane. So then 8, I guess.
Yeah, 8. 8 is purely alive. 7 in Sente.
Hmm.
So there's a proverb, I guess, it's like 6 will die, 7 depends, and 8 will live, or 8 will live, 7 depends, and 6 will die.
Okay.
Um, but then what about on the third line? These are kind of rules of thumb that are sort of useful to know.
Yeah, that is nice, but I don't know.
Don't
And I won't be able to just close my eyes and see it either. So
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So to be alive on the third line, you need 4 plus 2. So you need 4 on the third line, and then 2
And then
on the
2
second.
on the skirt or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have this shape, then you're alive.
Okay.
One of the ways to think about overconcentration is if you add a stone to something that is already alive, then you're only adding points. And
Yeah.
points, especially in the opening, are not particularly valuable. So here, you are not alive yet.
Yes.
And after you extend and I come here, you're still not alive, right?
Yes.
But if you had
Oh, if I'd done like S2.
S2, still relatively painful, but maybe I have to take go tech,
Hmm.
right? And go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Um, that's just like an aside. But the thing that you kept saying earlier, which is interesting to me, is you talked about third line territory.
Hmm.
Rule of thumb for third line territory: if you have more than 6 in a row, it's overconcentrated.
Oh,
Why
okay.
do you think that might be?
Well, uh, because the wall you're trading for it is just emitting so much strength, but I don't quantitatively it's hard for me to say. What but going back to the theme that you said, because it's alive and you're only adding some points.
Right. Every stone you're adding might add 2 to 3 points,
Yeah.
but it's already alive, so you probably can play somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have more than 6, that's usually a bad sign if you're on the
Cool.
third line.
Okay.
Okay.
Man, I'm gonna
Now let's.
I'm definitely like saving the VOD, and I'm gonna have to go back and like write notes and tape them to my monitor. All right.
Yeah. I mean, so this sort of idea actually comes up a lot, like in this sort of opening.
Yeah.
White will often play here to press black down, and then white will attach here. Same idea, just larger scale, trying to push the two sides together in a relatively low position.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
white's saying, my influence isn't really doing anything yet, but it's going to be at least on par to whatever some metric is,
Mhm.
and black's going to be overconcentrated.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
Ah, that's cool.
let's look at the game here then. What do you think about this move?
I mean, I think I didn't respond well. So it
Your response was okay. Like, what do you think my motivation is for?
I think you want to build a wall projecting strength to the left because you have influence facing the right on the other side,
Okay,
right?
I would say that if that was all it is, then this move would probably be not so great. It would be like 80% of just playing a jump or a defense.
Hmm.
I just want to consolidate this space.
Okay. Um. I don't know. Maybe you're also. I don't know. I don't know what else.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm hoping for, I mean, this is sort of the same as the game, either way you play it. What I'm hoping for is that you're going to play in such a way where you're moving towards an area that's not very valuable,
Yes. Okay.
and it's not valuable because I'm already alive here,
Mhm.
and you. This is like already very small
Yes.
because it's curved around. So
So
this is another way to try to create overconcentration is to push you towards this group.
cool. Okay. Do you think maybe I should have like approached from the other side or something? Or Sansan
Well,
or
I mean, approach from the other side is great, but do you remember when you played R6?
yeah, yeah, and you thought that was weird immediately.
Yeah, R6 was back here. It's the fifth
Yeah.
move, so you can't really change it considering the board, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What you can change is this defense.
Okay,
When
so
you play this, yeah, so this way, and then if you at this moment you need to maybe start changing directions now.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, or follow up here in a way where
Yeah,
maybe
where
I'll
where
have
I
to change direction.
yeah,
This will change direction, right? But if you
yeah.
block this way, it might work a little bit better. The bottom right.
Very interesting. Okay.
Okay, but there's a benefit for me, and that's why I played 3-3. Is no matter which way you block, I'm a little bit happy
Yeah,
because
yeah, because this is sort of doing the
this
same
stone
thing, right? Yeah.
with this stone, right? And this stone now is like I wish I was on the either more in the corner or more territorial because
Yeah.
there's no points here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I play 3-3 because either way you go, I'm happy with it.
Well, so in that sense, then again, looking at R6, I really made myself vulnerable to the Sansan because it works out well for you either
That
way.
Yep, that is a big part of it. The other part of it, which takes
Ah,
away from our overconcentration thing, typically it's more valuable to play near 3 4 points than it is to, or at least indirectly defend them, than it is to approach a 4 4 point.
sure. Okay, that makes sense.
I can explain it, but I think that's easy enough.
Yeah, I can accept that as a rule of thumb, and I think I even knew that. I just wasn't.
Wanted some,
You
yeah.
know, yeah, I was just doing something.
I mean, it's not going to make a big difference. It's
Well,
just you have to be able to play it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, so here's an idea, right? This falls under the everything we've been talking about over concentration falls
Mm-hmm.
under that proverb of like play away from thickness, right? It's
Mm.
for black. I don't want to get pushed whenever I play this move. Black's like I don't want to get pushed towards a thick position. And I should probably ask you, do you know what a thick position means?
To me, thick is just a wall that is strong. That's the main
Okay.
thing to me.
Yeah. So actually, in this upper right corner, white is thick. Black's not thick,
Sure.
but white's not a wall.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So yeah, maybe it doesn't need to be just a strong position, a stable
Yeah.
position that doesn't need to be defended.
Right. A strong group. Yeah. So everything we've been talking about is like play away from a strong group. Now we're going to talk about the bottom left. And the bottom left's kind of interesting because it happens in sort of an unusual order.
Okay.
Okay. So let's pretend the bottom left. Let's pretend we already had played at the bottom left, and
Mm.
now I approached you at c50.
Yeah.
How would you answer this move?
Well, maybe I do what you did. I do something like D15, and I think about pushing you toward that group.
That's an idea, except that oh, why is it white's turn? Oh yeah. So I have to play white's turn somewhere. Let's say white. D15 is makes sense, but the problem is you're giving up too much locally.
Mm.
This variation is better from a 4 4 point than a 3 4 point.
Yeah, sure.
Just because there's less points in it.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. So if I mean, do we do the old way of C16? You know, like I take the corn.
Yeah. D16 is an idea
Okay,
like
and
this.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So C16 is pretty cool. You push me towards your strength, and
Mm-hmm.
then you take the area that's like a little less developed,
Yeah.
right? You set up you stake a claim in the less developed.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the idea. You can also, of course, Tenuki here, but locally that would be the idea. But in the game, obviously the order is different, right?
Yeah.
So you play that. So maybe instead of playing this Joseki in the bottom left, maybe you want to do something different. What other, like if you don't want to get strong here yet, because it seems like then you didn't take advantage of my stone.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I know. Now it's getting more and more difficult.
no, but that's great though. I feel like I'm like you ever see those videos where people who are colorblind with a certain type of color blindness, you know, they put on glasses and now they can see color. You know, it's like tickling a part of my brain that is unfamiliar to me. It's fun. All right, so maybe I would rather jump out, or maybe I would rather,
Like
um,
this.
yeah, or maybe I jump toward the left side. Not instead of out, I make a base or something.
Yeah,
Or
so maybe there's a move that's sort of like making a base, but
oh,
it's a
like
little
pincer.
bit.
Okay,
Yeah. If you
okay,
pincer, right? And now, even though this corner hasn't been played out, it's you are strong. Black is strong here, right?
sure.
So let's say white like plays away.
Hmm.
If you're strong here, does that change how you're going to play in this corner?
If I'm strong there, then oh gosh, it's such a it's it's strong. It's not thick though, right?
No,
Uh,
but it's an area where you're stronger. It's an area of, so you can say it's like on a thickness scale, maybe it's like 70% thick.
Oh gosh. Okay. Uh, so does it change how I'm gonna play in the bottom? I so I don't want to play toward. I don't know. Golly, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little weird. So actually, I kind of it's also a little weird because I played two, so now this area is stronger too, a little bit.
Yeah.
But as the areas develop, this stone right on the left, this stone here,
Mm-hmm.
it's got a choice. Let's say you play the same Joseki.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? Do you notice? Maybe I'll even play a few more moves. What do you think about the left side?
It is over concentrated, at least relative to what I
Yeah,
gave white.
yep, I agree. And then maybe white's next move is like here. So don't want to do that, right? But we should be able to use an area like the upper left. This is an advantage for black, right? You're stronger here,
Yeah.
so you should be able to use it in some way. An advantage. How whatever what way is that?
Well, that means I want to fight with it. I want to push
Uh,
white into it, or I want
you can't you
to.
can't ever you can't ever make someone fight you and go.
Well, but I can create potential that would make you want to.
Oh,
It
you
would
can
give
put me in a situation where I'd want to fight back.
right, right.
Yeah, okay. What situation would that look like?
I don't know. What did I jump out or something toward the center? I threaten to make a large framework.
Something like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
good. So now if I take the corner, like I'm like, oh, you didn't take the points. I'm going to take the points. What do you do next? Just locally. I mean, the board is big. There's lots of moves, but
Right, of
locally.
course. I don't know, like F12 to make a large framework on the side. I
Okay,
don't
so
know.
F12 is adding more strength in this
Okay,
area,
all
which is
right.
not bad.
Okay,
I would
G6. I don't know.
I would recommend the shoulder hit. This is the normal follow-up to the jump.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
And then if we go continue like this, I am starting to not enjoy being pushed down.
Mhm.
And then you come back.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you add strength because now you're moving farther out. You're a little weaker in the center, right?
Yeah.
So you're like sort of expanding that strength out, like
Yeah.
right. And so you give it the points here, but you use the strength to get a development lead. Is basically it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could
I
see
mean,
it.
I'm not saying you. I would expect anyone to be able to do this after one.
No, sure, no, please,
But
that's fine. No, I'm just admiring your teaching style. It's like, oh yeah, good idea. That's an interesting idea, as though you hadn't thought of it. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's entertaining.
I mean, some of the things I hadn't thought of.
Uh huh.
Those were good.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Thanks.
But you can see how there's this consistent theme, right?
Yes.
This is really bad. As it's not related to our theme,
Mm.
but if you push and I hane,
Hmm.
you should always hane back, or like continue.
Okay.
The alternative is which pencil did you play? You played here. Yeah. So the alternative is if I play here, this is just damaging exchange,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you want to continue if you're going to play the turn. Turn should
Oh, right,
again.
right. Cause yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But everything up to here is pretty good. If you're going to continue in this corner, the kick is like it's a very old school way to do it, and it sort of expects that I'm going to answer, right?
Yeah. Maybe I should. Should I turn it D7 or something? Uh,
Uh,
or
Normally you see the jump is
okay.
what I usually see.
Okay.
The reason is at least locally. The reason is just that if we actually look at this corner a little bit, this corner is like a two-space jump, and then you played a very tiny extension,
Yeah.
and all I did was I paid you one stone for this stone,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a bad exchange for me, but it's a little bit slow. So usually we expand it bigger.
Okay.
That being said, on this board, you have an area of strength. I have an area of strength. Have you heard of border of two moyos before?
Sure. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so this is border of two moyos. We want
Okay.
to get on this line to limit white and grow this.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. You come back, and then now, given our conversation, what do you think about this move?
Well, I can understand it's gonna make me over concentrated.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah,
The goal is like, oh, come, please come over here and
yeah.
take all those, and then I'll.
Yeah, that's when I was considering C12, even without our conversation, I just couldn't stand that. So that's why I played D13. But I don't know that D13 is better. It still feels heavy, or not, it feels
Mm,
over concentrated.
okay, let me help. Let me
Yeah.
take this stone away.
Uh
Where would you play now?
huh. Well, if I wanted to be territorial, I might, I don't know, do something like C10 or something. But if I wanted to jump out somehow, maybe.
I think
Uh,
I think this is pretty big, to be honest. Uh, I would want to come in, or even you played Tengen, right? I
yeah,
would go a little farther, but it's the same idea. You don't
yeah,
want to, and it's easier to play it now because at the time you played it,
yeah,
it's only a little, it's only one extra stone, but
yeah.
it's a little bit closer, a little bit higher. So
And oh,
we're yeah, it's sort of deceptive, right? You have a stone here, so you want to take care of it, but you want
yeah,
to look at the whole position.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
And now I'm
yeah.
I'm also I'm reading lessons in the fundamentals of Go, and
Mhm.
I th- just a move that I played later after Tengen. I played like this sort of yeah, that one.
This one.
That one, as I'm looking at it now, feels wrong. Um,
Yeah, why does it feel wrong?
well, well, one thing I feel like I should like, and I don't know that this is necessarily related to the book, but just the feeling that I have is that it should be collinear on the 10th line, like if I'm gonna play there.
Something like these?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that feels
Um,
better. It feels like they work together better. Um,
yes. So one thing to think about is a moyo is like a framework, but it also is an area of strength, right? So
mm.
I'm very strong here. Like the six basic movements?
Nope. Oh,
No. Okay.
probably. Okay, so I mean,
Kosumi.
yeah. Okay,
The,
Komi, Nobi, Kosumi, sure. One space
yeah.
jump. I don't know. Two space jump. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know which one's the weakest?
The weakest. Well, I guess the Kama or the two space Kama, whatever you call the two
Yeah.
space knights move.
Large knight move. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's usually the weakest because it's can easier to cut and it's the biggest. So you played the
Yeah.
weakest move
Yeah.
near my area of strength.
Yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah. Okay.
doesn't quite make sense.
Mm.
But I played this move. This is a good shape to know. The idea is that if you push down, this attachment separates the space.
Yeah. Yeah. That when you played that, that was like, ooh, it felt good for white. It was like, man, I
Uh,
like it.
yeah. So what I'm hoping you, or what you probably should do is you should pull back,
Yeah.
and then I'll just
Okay.
So this one, so one thing to think about is strength doesn't come just from the number of stones because it could be over concentrated.
Mhm.
It comes from the relationship.
Yeah.
So here, you're not fixing the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
This way, maybe I can come out this way, but you
Mhm.
don't care about this side. You care about this side.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
there's not a lot left that's in our theme. Again, but like here, uh, one thing you could do is you could slide. And it seems like a very minor difference.
Hmm.
But when you are actually, it's in a sort of weird that because you're strong here and strong here, you want to connect up with the least number of moves.
Hmm.
And pushing me gives me a move for every single line, basically,
Yeah.
whereas a slide doesn't. So it saves you some move.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I don't. It's kind of hard at this stage, but the cut is too big
Hmm.
to defend it somehow. Um, yeah, but other than that, I don't really have much to say. This shape, you should play here. Anytime someone breaks an elephant eye, you want to be able to play one of the knight moves.
Really? Oh, see,
Yeah.
I've never heard that. Okay.
Yeah. Let me think. So there's a position you might see this, and like plays away. So like in this shape, say the shape is like this. Uh, let's just say it's like this, and you play the knight move. This is. I feel like I'm not quite getting the right pincer, but this would be good enough. Let's say it's like this, and we play here, and black goes in.
Sure.
The idea would be to attach here. Whenever this is like a dual purpose move, that's why sometimes in old games you'll see people jump like this.
Huh.
Is this attachment is like a key move. Oh, actually, I just thought of a more realistic example. Is like this, and this one, and this happens when white has. Oh shoot, and it's really I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's some examples like this where oh yeah, confused it a minute. This and then white plays here. A key move is to jump like the
Okay.
idea is that if white goes here, there's a peep, so not quite the knight move, but same idea, and then push and then cut, and this peep covers that.
Ah.
Down. It's the same thing in this corner. White's aiming if black answers. Oops. Here, white's aiming to push and cut, and this covers this.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That makes
This
sense.
happens, yeah, a lot of types of situations. So that's usually the vital point you want to look for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And sorry, just
yeah,
one real quick thing for Laura Lee Fay. Yeah, and thank you, guy in chat, for responding. The six moves. There's a word for it. It's like hangma or something. What
yeah,
is
hangma. It's
hangma?
like basic hangma.
Okay,
It's a
hangma is
Korean term.
it's kind of some basic uh, just shapes like jumps and the relationship between them. There are a lot of lectures on it. Nick Sabicki has a good lecture on it. Deson has a lecture on it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone recorded Deson talking about it.
Yeah,
You can find a lot of content on it.
yeah. It's these six shapes, and the thing you want to eventually start learning is like how to approach them. So like the one that's very useful to know is this shape. White aims to cut like and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and how you combine them. Sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
a more advanced topic, but yeah. So I would say the major theme that I noticed, and it kind of goes hand in hand with like this idea of whole board vision, is getting pushed together or
Yeah.
pushed towards spaces that are over concentrated.
Yeah, yeah. I want to go back. I want to like rewatch the lecture to kind of internalize a little bit. Well, sorry, the lecture, the teaching that you've done.
Okay, yeah.
And then I want to sort of go back and criticize my opening, and try to see what things were peculiar, you know. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, my approach, it's really interesting. I would never even think like my what was the approach I did, R6 or whatever. Never before could I have considered any way to consider that weird.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
mean,
like,
I would say it's weird just from experience, like
yeah,
seeing auto opening. I wouldn't say it's weird. Like I don't think it really. If you put it into an AI, I'm sure you hardly lose anything, if anything.
yeah, but that's because
Um,
I guess the AI knows how to deal with it or whatever.
it has a different way of playing around it.
Yeah.
I would, since just judging by your game, I would say you seem like you don't make many bad local shapes.
Mm.
Uh, I want to throw this idea to you. There's, yeah, if we assume, I know it's like a lot, but if we assume that every move is, what's the word I'm looking for? If every move you play is like roughly, like equal in a local space, there's actually only two ways to get an advantage.
Okay.
Yeah. The first one is the one we just talked about. You can make someone over concentrated
Okay, so
by
you're saying it's equal in a
flipping
local
them.
space, but you on a more global scale, you can make them over concentrated or
Right.
worse.
That's the first one, right? We push white to be over concentrated here. That's one way to get an advantage. The second way is to combine it's effectively the same thing, but it's combining two tactics. You can make two fights and then play the decisive move where one of the fights the opponent has to lose because you're using one move to affect two areas.
Yes.
So those are basically the only two ways you can get an advantage if no one makes like real big mistakes.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So, and I'm still, I don't live in that world at all, right? When I play against opponents of similar strength, it's just about who makes the fewest catastrophic mistakes. You know,
Mm, yeah, I mean, I understand and I agree,
yeah,
but just looking at your game,
mm,
and I know we kind of played in like a teaching way, but
yeah,
overall, like it wasn't until it was this push and this move, those
yeah,
are like the only local, big local mistakes I could say, and they're relatively speaking pretty minor.
yeah, mm,
So I think the reason I bring this up is like as a whole, I think you're getting to that place
mm,
where
yeah.
that's something you might want to think about.
Well, that's awesome because I've been thinking about that a little bit. You know, so for the last maybe 3 years, I have not really tried to get better at all. I've just taught people and enjoyed the game, but maybe the last month or so, I've decided to start getting better and starting to think about like what kind of headspace are stronger players really in. You know, because yeah, when you're not making mistakes like that, like yeah, where is the advantage? How do you be better than someone else who can also not make awful mistakes? You know, so yeah, that's a really interesting way to think of the next level. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Cool.
Well, I really appreciate it. That's super valuable. Very
Yeah,
valuable lecture.
glad I did. I'm glad it was